We are getting lazy. I'm not even off the couch having a live chat. Those of you that know sometimes I'll just start a live chat, whatever the case is. I'm using my phone. Hopefully I'll be able to read the comments. And we'll see who jumps in here. We're about an hour later than I'd normally run a live chat, but I figured let's BS. Let's have some fun, see what happens, see who makes it in. Just a quick video. So all day, if you guys don't know, I got a center fire match coming up. Got Chris Simmons and Dick Hedges will be shooting together, and quite a few others, so it's a lot of fun. But the horrible part of PRS is reloading ammo. So got done finishing up 200 and I think it was 75 rounds, something like that. You lazy bones. What's up, John? Tim Rink. Let's see what we got out here. Robert Warren, Keith Gregory. Keith Gregory comes in first, Robert Warren in second, John Rowlands third, and Mr. Kreideman fourth. Hey, Dick, that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, Dick Hedges is reloading ammo still. What's up, Bravado Racing? Mr. and Mrs. Bravado Racing. Skunk Ape, Papa's Place. Mr. Les is in the house. Yeah, that's all I've been doing all day. I just got back from eating dinner, and it's been a reload fest ever since. So, started the other day, got quite a few done, and then finally finished up like 275 rounds or whatever it is. So it's a 2-day match in Alabama, 7.5-hour drive. Howdy from PA. We got Todd out there. What's going on, Todd? And that's the one unfortunate part is it looks like you're back at the fire department. Not anymore, Miss Patty. Mrs. Patty. Jason Hunt's out there. What's going on? I just figured I'd stop by, say hi, see how everybody's doing. Had a lot of fun. Got to see quite a few people at the last couple matches that have been watching the channel, so it's always fun to say hi and see how everybody's doing. Hopefully, they're obviously at the match having a good time. What's up, Martin? And so that's been really cool. Looking forward to this center fire match, though. I'm not sure why. I like 2-day matches. A lot of it has to do with being able to practice 2-day matches. So most people, they sit, kind of like this. No, they go to a 1-day match, and they're not. A 2-day match is very mental. It's very exhausting in a way, and it can hurt the shooters that never shoot a 2-day match. So shooting more 2-day matches definitely helps. And we got nationals coming up for rimfire stuff. So practicing and getting used to that whole mind game of the long haul. It's just not those 10 stages or whatever. It's going to be 20. And everything you screwed up on this stage, you really got to mentally block it out, because 2 days is you got to go for the long haul. So you have a couple bad stages, you really got to erase them. A lot of time on a 1-day match, if you blow a stage, you are basically out of the top. Where's nationals? Minnesota? No, not Minnesota. What's it called? Not Minnesota. Somebody help me. It's not Montana. Where the hell is it? Michigan. Not Michigan. Where the hell am I going? Missouri. There it is. Missouri's where it's at. Thanks, Joe. I'm like, I know it starts with M. So yeah, 7.5 hours to get to Alabama. And so practicing the mental game. See, everybody knows except me. That's a fact. One bad stage can mess up, the next 3 or 4. And I noticed myself doing that. I'll have a bad stage, and I can feel it going into the next stage. And you got to just get rid of that shit. Let's see what Todd says here. I used to like the trap shoots. They were 7 to 10 days long. Wow. Although I never went for the whole shoot. Had the whole week to get crap together. Yeah, and the championship events were 2 to 3 days. So it's definitely a mental game trying to figure that out, and that's something that I'm working on. And in order to work on that and being able to get through 2 days, it was like when I went to nationals in Texas this last year. You know, usually you go to the match, you're exhausted the next day, and you don't have to worry about it because it's just a 1 day match. But these 2 day matches, you really gotta not get to bed too late, not go out and have fun with all your shooting buddies, and then, now you're feeling like crap the next day. So you got to have fun in there, mix in there, but not get too crazy. 22 Lima says you got to shake off that bad juju, and that's a fact. I think, and it's really tough, especially if you like completely blow it. Maybe your turret was a complete, you had the whole thing spun up for some other, maybe the last stage or whatever. Now you're a whole rev off. That can really screw up stuff. And being able to notice that, there was a guy that had commented on a video not too long ago where his whole stage was like that because after after the first shot, you're hoping you can see your hit. And that's another thing with magnification, not having it too powered up, being able to see that you're, 10 mils high or low can be important. But you blow a stage, and now it's like, okay, how do you get rid of it? How do you get it out of your head? And there was somebody, I can't remember who it was, but they basically said, think of each stage as its own match. All you're trying to do is beat everybody in that one stage. That's it. So you already had this stage, you screwed it up. So just think of it as you lost that stage, but you didn't lose the match. You just lost that stage. Now you're gonna try to get yourself back in the game and win this stage. And it makes a lot of sense. Especially I think on a 2 day match, you can be down, you can have great days, you can have bad days, and at the end of the day, as long as you're going having fun, that's what matters the most. And with each failure, you learn something, or you should learn something. Now I learned the same shit over and over again because there's a lot of times where I will keep screwing up in a certain thing. And then hopefully somewhere in there, it clicks in. It's like, okay, I remember this, so I need to make sure it's that. Making sure you got your first, if you're dialing, you got your first one in, your first target in there. Like the other match in Alabama, I forgot to put my dope card on, and I had the dope dialed wrong. And Chris Beck, thanks for that. And just those little silly things can cost you a match. Or it can cost you, being in top 10 and drop you down to the middle of the pack or whatever the case is. I will say I've noticed a lot of the shooters that I shoot with, oh shit, I don't know what I did here. Let's see. Haven't shot a lot of rifle competitions, but in a shotgun, it's always one shot at a time. Forget the misses. I agree. I tell you what, I love shooting shotgun. Problem is with shotgun, you can't find the dang ammo right now. But kind of getting back to what we were talking about is I've noticed over months, almost a year, there's been a lot of shooters that I'm good friends with that we all kind of started out, as new, just like anybody else, starting out as a new shooter, getting into a sport that you never tried. You're gonna have to learn baby steps, just like we're still learning. I'm still learning a lot and trying to get better at the sport. But I've had a great time watching people get better, and I don't want to do any name calling, but they deserve it. We got Willard out there, Bill Sweeney. Watching these guys just get better and better and better is really cool. You'll see them do really good on a stage, and then they'll have a bad stage, but they're doing better. And I think it all comes down to hit percentages. If you're a shooter that's a mid-pack shooter, if you were getting 54% of your hits in each match you go to, or The matches that you're going to, you're starting to see is 60s. You're starting to see the 65s, the 70% hit factors. That's where you're winning no matter what. If you can keep growing those, that's a win. You know, the only one you should really be competing against is yourself. And in order to do that, you can always go into practice score and go, okay, my hit percentage was X. And this month it's that. And then hopefully for the next month coming up, the matches that I go to, I want to be in the a certain percentile. And then that's the person that you should be competing against. And if you're just fortunate enough to win or to place or to get a top 10 or whatever, that's just an extra bonus. That's a little icing on the cake kind of thing, in my opinion. What's weird is there's been a few matches where, and most of them recently, where I'll shoot and I'll think that I'm not doing that great. You know, and I've been lucky, like this last match in Sawmill, South Carolina last Saturday. I'm being more consistent. Before I would do really good at, say I cleaned a stage, which means like you got 10 out of 10 or whatever. But then the next stage I'd have a main brain fart and I would screw it up and I'd get like let's just say like a 3 or 4. So I'm getting better at being more consistent. I'm not being great at cleaning every stage because that's just tough. Usually the first shot's kind of a wind call guess. You know, you're like, oh, it looks like it's about 5 miles an hour out there. I'm going to hold a half a mil at, X distance or whatever. And then you shoot that bullet. Hopefully you see the bullet and you're like, shit, I was off 2/10. I should have held X. And then you can kind of utilize that for the next ones and have a very educated guess, or at least a better idea of what your bullet's going to do, at coming back or coming into the targets. See, Joe M says, last year my average match score looked like 10-0, 10-0. This season it's 8-8, 8-8. This season is a lot more fun. Yeah, and I think the things that really jack you up is like Joe has here. You have a 10, you're on your high, and then all of a sudden you get a 0, and you're like, oh my gosh, and it's this big roller coaster, right? Now those are the things that we were kind of talking about in the beginning of a 2-day match, is the whole like mental freaking ups and down roller coaster, kind of sucks the life out of you. And then on the second day, you're just mentally drained, mentally like, I just want this to be over with. But being able to go to these 2-day matches is preparing me for more 2-day matches. So think of it as like training. Think of it as practice. When I go to this center fire match, I'm not expecting to do great at all. I really ain't. But at the end of the day, I'm going to hopefully be better at 2-day matches. The whole mental part of it, the mental game of it. Hopefully I pick up some little pointers here and there from other shooters. And that's kind of things to think about too. I'm sure these videos, like the match videos, help people learn how to, get a solid position with maybe a pump pillow or whatever the case is, and being able to see someone do it. And that's kind of what I'm doing when I go to a match. I'm watching the people in the squad ahead of me. How high was their bipod? Did that work out well? Or sometimes people will run their bipod really high, and then all of a sudden they got to flip their game, depending on what bag they're running, say they're medium or whatever, and they got in the tall configuration, but it's not tall. It's not, the bag in the back's not tall enough. So mentally going, okay, I need to shorten my bipod so that I don't have to deal with that later. Or, looking at all those little things of what click is it on that person's bipod. So just kind of some of the things that just watching can definitely help out with. We talked a little bit about 22 ammo on Ray's channel, doing that matchstick thing. And that's huge importance. Not that I'm going to talk about rimfire stuff, but it is very important. It is most important to have good ammo. And then somebody had commented, that's the reason why I'm bringing this up. about sending their stuff off to get lot tested. I would assume it was Lapua because they were going to Arizona. But the problem with some of that stuff is when you lot test, they're going to lot test your rifle. It's going to be at 50. I think they do it at 50 meters. It could shoot really, really lights out, tiny bug hole at 50 meters. The problem is when you get that ammo and you're like, okay, how many cases can I buy? And they say 1 or 2. You're just like, okay, give me two cases of this stuff. When you get it home, more than likely, it's going to shoot great at 50 yards. I noticed when they send you pictures, it doesn't look great. And usually when you get it home, it'll shoot a lot tighter when it's in your chassis and you're shooting prone and that kind of stuff. Okay, 50 and 100 meters. But definitely make sure you get the 100 out there as well. And if you have the ability to see what 200 looks like. When I lot tested, and you can go back to my older videos of lot testing Ely Match and 10X. The Ely 10X, which is a more expensive ammo, did shoot better at, I think it was the 50 yards, and was decent at 100, but the match that I had shot just as well at 100, and maybe it was just a hair bigger at 50. And I'm like, well, I could save almost, $6 a box. And when I'm buying, I don't even remember what it was. Let's see. It was a lot. It was a lot of ammo. I'm like, it's not even, that's kind of just like not even noticeable. So I ended up going that way. But through all those lots that I tested, there was some stuff that shot really good. And at 100, it was just crap. It was really crap. So we talked about a little bit. It's better to have a lot, meaning not a huge amount, but a lot of ammo that's made that actually works well for your rifle, because we talked about it a little bit, but when you're shooting these tiny targets, like Saturday's match, which wasn't even hard to do, it was an 1.5 inch target at 108 yards, and you were shooting off basically like a PRS barricades, big old boulders. But if your ammo is shit at 100 yards, you're basically losing that stage, or you're not going to impact as many as you should. So right there, you're already dropping points. It's not because you missed the target. It might have been because of your ammo. So it's kind of like, something to think about. So don't think of it as buying the most expensive ammo. Think of it as figuring out what ammo works the best. I know a lot of people like SK this and SK that, and some of that stuff's cheaper. One of the benefits to running an Ely or a Silver Bullet is during certain circumstances with the sun and how everything's lined up, you have a lot better probability of seeing your bullet, whether it's a hit or a miss. So that's kind of a benefit to being able to shoot Ely compared to like Cinerex, Lapua Cinerex and stuff. Let's see, Joe says, things I've done this year that have helped a lot. Writing down more wind data on my card than I think I need. Making bold corrections. And if my position isn't stable, mid-stage, stop and fix it. Those are great, Joe. Yeah, when and you see it in the reticle and your glass is moving all over, you're not stable, especially if you're in a position where you have the ability to use a pump pillow or something. Start over. Maybe even you got to fix your front bag. Make it so it's flat. Make it so it's sitting on whatever barricade you're using and is not falling over. And then readjust, maybe to get a good solid base. And that'll definitely help with the impacts. Even if it takes a little bit, it's better to have gotten 8 than, and not even be able to finish getting the last 2 off than get 5 rush shots and miss them all. So you end up with maybe a score of like 3 or 4. What is going on, MCK? You're going to have flyers with SK. Yeah, the biggest thing is 250 rounds done finally. Good job, Dick. Is finding an ammo with a good SD. The flyers are going to be your SDs more than likely. So no matter what ammo you get, if you can get a lot that the ammo, the SDs are low, like I think my match stuff is right around 4 or 5. Usually when I throw it on the chronograph, I'm getting SDs of 4 or 5. And then depending on weather, which you wouldn't think that would impact it, but sometimes they'll go up a little bit. So I've been really lucky with that lot of ammo that I use because, one, when I law tested it, it was for the Voodoo 360. So I got extremely lucky because I had purchased 3 cases of this stuff. And for those of you that know, it's an expensive adventure buying ammo. You've heard it told on this channel quite a few times. Even if you find a lot of ammo that is magical and they have it available and it's out of your price range per se, and you have the ability to put it on a credit card and pay it off, it might be a good option to do that, because I don't ever tell people to put stuff on credit cards, but if you ever go back, you'll never find that lot of ammo again. And then guess what? You have to start this whole process over of finding another lot of ammo. So now you're buying ammo that you're just going to try out. Some of it's going to be really crappy. You'll never use it, or it won't work in the rifle that you're trying to do. So now you got wasted money. So if you have the ability and you find ammo, and right now ammo is very hard to get anyways, and especially like places that normally would have it, like Kilo Sports, it would show you hundreds, 300 of this and 500 of that, and now is numbers like 12, 15, 20. So there's no point at even lot testing any of that crap, because one, whatever you find, if there's a lot of it, you got to order 1 or 2 boxes. Then it's got to be shipped to you. Then you got to find the time to go out to the range and shoot it. And then you have to figure out, okay, I'm going to order this stuff. Well, if there's not massive amounts of that stuff, it's already going to be gone before you even get a chance to do it. So if you see stuff with low numbers of what you're thinking of buying, don't even waste your time and money on it, because it makes no sense. It doesn't really matter. Some of the things that are good information is, if you know what your rifle likes when it comes to feet per second or speed, if your box says 1063 on it, because that's what mine says, I shoot 1105. 1105 is my average speed or feet per second or velocity for my rifle. So there's that difference. So figure out, so if I know my rifle likes 1105 speed, the things I'm looking for are, and you got to shoot it, you got to try the ammo out, but the SDs are super low. But most importantly, you want to, well, not even most importantly, that's super important. But then also find the speed minus the 40 feet per second or whatever 1064 is, 1063 to 1105. Take that measurement. That's in my barrel. Yours will differ. And then minus it, and then figure out what boxes with that number. Maybe it's 1070 or whatever. Maybe it's 1058 or whatever the case is, to try to get that 40. That'll save you a lot of lot testing time, because you already know what speed you like your rifle to be at. That'll be a huge importance. Let me jump back out here and see what everybody's got. "22 Lima says, truth bombs. 5 slow hits are better than 9 fast misses." That's right. There's my buddy Charles Tiffy out there. Charles Tiffy done got himself a whole bunch of Varget, by the way. Do you think if you put your rifle in a different chassis right now and adjust it for you, that you would be able to shoot just as well as your MPA? Do you think if you put your rifle in a different chassis? I do. I think where you're going to get issues, and I'm not a professional chassis guy, what you'll notice if you run it in different chassis, mostly I think, is the mag issues. Sometimes mags will run really good in chassis X, but they work really crappy in chassis Y. So being able, like if you're running a Voodoo, being able to find a chassis that has some type of adjustable mag release, because on a Voodoo there's nothing available on the actual mag. So the Remex, and I'm not trying to say how great Remexes are because they're all mechanical, they all break, has adjustability on the magazine as well. So if you run an MPA, let's just say you're running what I run, an MPA hybrid, it has the adjustable magazine on the catch, and then I also have it on the magazine itself. So now I have kind of two options of being able to tweak with stuff if I needed to. But no, if you took the one out, you torqued it down to the right specifications, basically like 60 inch-pounds. 55 is the magic number I like using, just because I'm kind of like I like being different. So I torque everything down to 55. Don't ask me why, I'm not sure. I don't know, I'm a rule breaker, I guess. I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be 60? Okay, I think 55 is better. And that's kind of what I do. But 55 has always worked well for me. As long as the chassis is right, and there's no weird thing, and it's, free floating barrel and all that kind of stuff. I think it's just a personal preference kind of thing. I think if everything was the same, if the cheek height was the same, and I just basically took the action off, put it back down, the length of pull was about the same or the same. And shooting prone, it doesn't seem to be such a big deal. I will tell you, when you shoot prone and you shoot a lot of prone and then you go to shoot PRS style barricades, you almost need to shorten your length of pull a little bit, because you get in those weird awkward spots. Hey, Vanessa. So if you're shooting prone all day, you kind of got to, out there, you don't have things you got to go around and move around in, and you can usually get your eye reliefs always about perfect. There's sometimes when you're shooting PRS and you're kind of in these funky positions, you're not getting exactly what you normally would if you were, say, prone. So having a little bit shorter length of pull, at least for me, seems to help out, because then I can kind of get my eye in the eye box area a little bit easier. And I've noticed that, and we've talked about, not so much on camera, but like talk to people about how they run it a little bit shorter. So maybe that helps. Maybe Joe M and some of the you guys out there can talk about it as well. DW's in the house. Yeah, you guys got constitutional carry now. Let's see. At toss in there. You use your Kestrel 5700 and an inclometer. Thanks for reaching out. When you shoot at different elevations, temperatures, and angles, uphill, downhill, how do you calculate your holdovers and clicks? The one thing that makes it tough is you figure out, I have to move X amount of times and I have to shoot X amount of times. And then you got to think, okay, there's a lot of movement or a lot of distance, or you have to come up with like a funky thing that takes a while to get into position. You're probably going to eat up a lot of that time, getting into position. Then you're going to lose time dialing. And I will say dialing is the most accurate way if you shoot really tiny targets. Sometimes the targets are big enough and you're like, okay, that's like, that's a MOA tall or whatever, or MOA wide, and then it kind of gives you an idea of, I really need to, I could hold all this and be perfectly fine. So the things that make it nice is like when you get a distance and it says 2.5, and then your next target as 3.5, where things are like really even, or it makes it, the little, like the crows. He's talking about a stage we had a couple weeks ago. But if it lines up really good, where you're on a nice number and you're not like at 2.7 or something, where you're in between, which depending on your reticle may be a big deal or may not. My old reticle, it was. The newer reticle that I have now, the Gen 3, has 2/10 all the way down. So, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 1, blah, 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 blah. So that makes it much better. Before I was having issues because I always seemed like I had some stupid hold. It was like 2.7. So, it had half mil up all the way down. And it made it tough, especially on small targets, trying to guess where you thought 2.7 might be. And it kind of burns time because you're sitting there holding it and you're like, now you're thinking, is that 2.7? Should be right around here. Well, shit, I could have probably dialed that and been more accurate. But a lot of targets now, they're making you, not now, but they have we have the unfortunate part of is it's one shot going out and then one shot going in, or near to far and far to near. So now you have to dial basically 10 times, and like, okay, I got to move X amount of times and I got to dial 10 times. This is going to really suck. I won't have time for this. Maybe watching the guy or gal in front of you time out. Maybe they got to 8, the 8th target, and then you had another shooter and they got to the 7th target. You're like, oh, I got to definitely hold here. So writing your data down, and sometimes you'll see people, or they'll basically put 0, which is really 2.1, and then go up from that target. So they'll dial in the first target, and then you're basically minusing all that off the next farthest targets. One good thing, if you have enough room on your dope card, or you write small or can see small, is also have the actual what it's supposed to be dialed in at, because there'll be times when you'll screw up or you're missing and you're like, this is not working. And if you don't have what the actual hold is, you are going to be screwed, because if you can't switch back over to dialing, you're like, oh, you know what, I just need to hit some targets here. So let's just say I had everything dialed in on my card. What's up, Eagle Eye? And I had all the holds. So basically 0 was 2 point something and then all the way out. Now I'm going and I'm like, shit, I'm not hitting anything. I can't go back to dialing because I don't know what what it's supposed to be. Especially trying to do math in your head on the fly and shoot targets, for me, is just doesn't work well. So that's an option. But yeah, trying to figure out when you're going to dial versus hold. A lot of it sometimes has to do with target size. And then for me, it's kind of how it adds up as you go out. Let's see here. If you are running a troop line, one thing you might consider is dial the second target and hold under for the first target. Yep. Since it's usually pretty close, then you can run out from there and dial and hold. And the biggest thing, some of the videos you'll watch, great information, Joe, is you'll hear me say, like right before the thing, I'll be like 0, 1.5, 2.4 or whatever. You'll hear me saying this mentally, or not mentally, but vocally, just so I'm remembering. So I'll be like, okay, 0, and then I'll move to the next target, 1.5, and then, if I need to go back to the 0 one or whatever it is, however the thing's set up, is just to like keep hammering it in your head. A lot of times I'll write really big, hold, like Matt P and I, we shot that team match together, and it's like, draw it super big, hold. Let's see, that arm going to yoked out if he keeps chatting like this, going, hey, what's up? We got Joaquin out there. He's comfortable, Kenny. Oh, I'm comfortable. But no, great stuff, Joe M, on that for sure. I have done that before. We actually did some practice with that, and that works really well, especially if you got to go out to some farther distances. And then it'll pin, though, also, what he's saying is you dial in your second target, per se, but your first target is above the horizontal line. So now, depending on the scope you have, like it's the EBR-7D is fine. You can do that. And you can go all the way up to, almost 10, I think, or 8. You can do that by holding under. So some reticles, though, they don't have anything going up. So it depends on your reticle. Let's see. Catch up here. Any other questions before I get out of here? Basically did a chat because I wanted to say hi to everybody. We got some videos coming out. It should be fun. Be leaving Friday. Chris Simmons is going to be riding with me down to Alabama, 7.5 hours. So we'll try to pick his brain. We'll get on video, have some fun, see what kind of stuff comes up. When in doubt, dial out. HS, that's well said. Maybe we can pick his brain a little bit and see some, try to get some trade secrets. And I think the whole thing is a journey of trying to learn, right? Trying to get better at whatever you want to do, whether it's soccer, golf, or whatever the case is. Putting forth the effort to try to become better at your hobby. And I think that's what it's about. The great community as well. Found some Hornady 6.5 from Brass Pro. Nice DW. That's probably 40-something bucks a box. Ask him about cleaning. Oh, cleaning. Well, I already know his answer for that. It's before every match. Foul the barrel. No more than like 300 rounds. It's important to clean it. It's definitely important. Ask him how we get those magical Lapua lots. I have no idea how he gets that. He definitely has good luck with finding good lots for sure. What else? What else do we want to ask him on the way? We'll go live. We got 7.5 hours. We're gonna leave like early. Dick Hedges he had dinner with the gentleman that is running. What is it called? It's the one in Minnesota that I want to shoot. That's a $700 entry fee. The big. I can't remember what the hell it's called. Dick, you're gonna have to type that in because I can't remember. The big match or something like that. Send that barreled action to Mesa. It's called the big something. I should call it the cash cow. But yeah, it's $700 entry fee. It's in Minnesota. The big money match. There it is. I'm super interested in shooting that. I got to look on the calendar and see when the dates are again. Make sure the calendar is empty because I think that would be a fun match. I think promoting the sport of anything, PRS, NRL, especially the shooting sports, there's really no money in it. We spend lots of money buying all this high-tech crap. And I think as the sport grows, it would be kind of neat to see that, yes, it's $700 and expensive, but if you win one stage, speed stage, every stage basically is a speed stage, like a tiebreaker stage, but you're going to need to have good, you're going to need to clean it and do it fast because you're going to be shooting against a lot of fast shooters. I sent 2 to Mesa and nothing worth buying. So I think it'll be kind of fun. It'll be a cool adventure to show on the channel. And he was talking with the gentleman. I don't know his name. But he actually watches the channel, which is cool. So if you're watching, hopefully I get to see you out there. My plan is to go out there, but I need to run it across the old calendar, see what's going on. And then I would like to get you on here and actually promote that match because I think he needed like a certain amount of shooters in order to qualify to run it. And if they don't find enough shooters, they're not going to do it. And they're going to, no, he shoots Polar Biathlon. And if we get enough shooters to actually put the entry fees in, they're going to run the match. So I think it'll be really cool. I think the purse is like $2,500 or $3,500 or $3,000 or whatever the hell it is. So it's a huge benefit to someone if they win the match, and especially if they start cleaning the stages, because each stage they're going to give the winner like $600. So you basically can get your entry fee almost back. Who is going to Pennsylvania with you? Is Ray going to shoot at the match? I don't think Ray's going to go to that. I had showed him that when I first saw it on Facebook, and he's like, oh, hell no. So I don't think he'll be going. It would be nice to get a couple people going. I tried talking Dick Hedges into it, and he's got some stuff going on, so he can't do it. But other than that, we'll give you some updates of what's going on. Once I think Dick Hedges is going to get me the contact information so I can get him on the live chat. Send me a link to the money match late. And try to get him on there, promote it. Maybe we can get a bunch of shooters. When we shot that match in Caverns Cove, shooting against 84 shooters was freaking amazing for a one-day match. This will be a two-day match, so I'm really hoping that a lot of people show up to this. I have many kids and cough up $700 match fees. Yikes. Yeah, no, this isn't for everybody, that's for sure. But I think at the end of the day, if you can win one speed stage, you basically paid for that. But you still got fuel, you got all the other stuff, hotel and all that crap. So it's going to be a lot of wasted money per se. But I have 4 kids. But it's going to be an adventure. So I'm definitely wanting to do this and see how it goes. So maybe I can talk Chris Simmons into going. I'm sure he'd do really well. He could probably bring home some money. So that'd be kind of neat. You have to win a speed stage. How was your Easter? Hope you are doing well. It was all right. But other than that, I got some tea I got to drop off. And there's no one I can pass the thing to and run to the pisser. So you guys have a wonderful night. Stay safe. See you on the next video. If you guys get a chance, put some comments after the show's over on some of the stuff you'd like to see. Or if you got any questions down below, leave them. And we'll see what happens. You guys take care. And hit the damn thumbs up button, you lazy bones. See ya.